Okay folks, good evening. It is Sunday night, and before we get into this video, we need to have a chat. And I would be completely remiss in my Christian faith if I did not talk about what took place down in Uvalde, Texas this past week. Now, of course, I'm talking about the school shooting that happened there. I'm going to say some things that might offend some people, but I need to say what's on my mind. And these things have to be said. This was, no doubt, a heinous crime. It was carried out by a very sick, twisted, evil individual. Now, I grew up in South Texas, and where I grew up, it was about 2 hours from Uvalde on the opposite side of San Antonio, east of San Antonio. So I have a sense of connection with the people who lived there. Now, I grew up in the same type of town. It's just a little old farming community out in Lavaca County. I know these people, and I know what they're going through right now. I've experienced loss. I lost a 3-year-old grandson many years ago. He died suddenly, unexpectedly, after a brief illness. So I know the pain that those folks are feeling right now. It hurts. It hurts me. It should hurt any decent human being. Now, I try to keep politics off my channel, but I have to say this. I was very deeply offended by the actions of a certain Democrat politician who chose to use the occasion for his own political gain. I will not say his name. I will not give him any recognition whatsoever on my channel, on my platform. I'm sure all of you know who I'm talking about. He saw an opportunity, and he could not let a tragedy go to waste. His actions were simply nothing more than disgusting. Now, before the folks in Uvalde even had a chance to grieve and bury their dead, this politician, he sought to use this tragedy as a vehicle to promote his own personal agenda for more gun laws. Now, there's a time and place to have those discussions. That was neither the time nor the place. But the real problem that we have in this country, folks, and here's where some people might get offended, we don't have a gun problem in this country, folks. We have an evil problem. Let me say it again. It's not a gun problem. It's a problem with evil. More gun laws will not fix the evil problem that we have. There was a shooting up in Buffalo, New York, about a week before all this took place in Uvalde. New York, in case you don't know, they have some of the strictest gun laws in the country. And those laws did absolutely nothing to prevent what happened there. We don't need more gun laws. Here's what we do need. We need God's law, and we need it now. We have taken prayer and Bible reading out of our public schools, and we have allowed the 10 Commandments to be removed from schools and all other public buildings and courthouses. And as a result, we've sown the seeds that have brought forth the evil, the sort of evil that we're witnessing today. Who knows? Who's to say? Had one of those mass murderers actually read the words, "Thou shalt not kill," they might have actually obeyed those words, and we wouldn't be having this discussion tonight. In Deuteronomy chapter 6, in verses 4 through 9, the Word of God tells us, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and all your soul, and all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates." We are commanded in the Word of God to display the Word of God publicly, not keep it hidden out of fear of offending somebody. We desperately, desperately need to turn back to God's laws. You know, that aforementioned political party that I spoke of a few moments ago, they are by and large responsible for removing the Word of God from all public places and taking prayer out of our schools. But let there be no doubt, folks, we all share the blame for that. We allowed it to happen by not speaking out, by not making our voices heard. Now, someone out there might ask, well then, where was God? Why didn't God just step in and stop these mass murderers from taking innocent lives? Well, it's a good question. It's a very good question. And Ruth Parsons Graham had an equally good answer when she was asked that question. Where was God? Ruth Graham said, God was on the outside of the fence, right out in the street, right where America put him, right where America wants him. You cannot tell God to butt out without consequences. If you're a young adult, 18, 19, 20 years old, and you tell your parents to butt out of your life, I don't need to give you 3 guesses as to what's going to happen next. You need not expect them to provide you with a home, a roof over your head, clothing, money, food. Most parents who I know will oblige that request, and you'll be left to fend for yourself. And I expect it's pretty much the same way with God. We cannot continue down this path, America. We cannot continue to tell God to butt out. We need God's laws. We need God's laws back in our schools. We need God's laws back in our public places, back in our courthouses. And more than that, we need God's laws right here. We need them in our own hearts. So think about that, folks. Think about that long and hard. Well, hello folks, good afternoon, welcome back, howdy, all that good stuff. And I'm just picking up where I left off in that last video. I just finished tacking on another section of this fabric right here on the side. Remember I said I was going to break this up into smaller areas, smaller sections, just to make it a whole lot easier to work the air out of these radiuses right here, because I was having a lot of issues, as you may recall, trying to work this in one large piece. So this just made life a whole lot easier. I'm down to one last piece here. Once this sets up, I get this leading edge sanded and smoothed back, and we'll put that piece on. That's pretty much all I have for you for right now. I will get back to you when I get that done. Once that's done, then we got to clean this catch-all off again, get this mess off of here, and start on the bottom. All right, folks, I'll be right back. All right, folks, I'm back, and here's the game plan for this afternoon. Of course, I don't have to work today, so I have pretty much the rest of the day to get all this done. It's not a whole lot, but I do want to get these float pods fiberglassed on the bottom and on the sides, and I also want to get this last piece laminated in place up here at the front of the boat. I showed you that in the previous video, how I was doing that, so just putting it down in sections. So I need to get the float pods done, because once I start laying fiberglass on the bottom surface here, I want to take some of that and overlap the float pods just a little bit. So for that to happen, I've got to get some fabric down on these pods, on the bottoms and on the sides, and so that's what I'm going to be working on. I will see you here momentarily when that's done. Okay, and just like that, I'm done. I have actually 2 layers right here. I just put them both on at the same time. Same thing over here, and drape some down the side. I now have 2 layers here on this side, and I will come back and put another layer here. and another layer here on the back side. But that is not going to stop me from working the bottom surface right here. That's done back here. Like I said, I can start to lay down fabric on these large surfaces right here, and I want to overlap just a little bit, oh, maybe about an inch or so, onto the float pods, onto the forward bottom edge of the float pods there, just so we get a little bit of fiberglass overlappage there. And also, this is done. As always, just gonna wait for everything to set up. This really went on nice and easy, no air bubbles. I really didn't get into that big battle right here with this radius. It had a couple of bubbles there, but it wasn't like what I've experienced in the past. So hey, we are down to the point now where, like I mentioned earlier, we're ready to start laminating these large surfaces. And so with that said, right over here, now we break out the big pieces. And these are pieces that I had pre-cut, oh gosh, last year, about November sometime, for the bottom surface. Now, like I said, the original plan was to lay these down in one piece, but I am going to cut them up. I'm going to do the same thing like I did on the other side over there on the side of the hull. I'm going to cut those up and do them in smaller sections, and hopefully I left myself enough to overlap there, but I think I still have some extra fabric if I didn't. But that's it. We're ready to move on now and get this hull completely fiberglassed. And of course I'm putting 2 layers down on the entire outer hull, and once that's done I'll get it faired out and get it painted and get it flipped back over. So that's going to wrap up this video for now, and I do ask you to take time to remember the folks down in Uvalde, Texas in your prayers. Just a horrible situation down there, and my gosh, I can't even hardly find words to express how I feel about that, but just remember those folks in your prayers, and I think that's the best thing we can do right now. Alright folks, that's all I have for now, and I'm going to pick this up in the next video when I start laying down the fiberglass fabric on the bottom of the hull surface there. So as always, in all things, like I say every time, to God be the glory, and good afternoon. We'll see you in the next video.